Barak to Yahweh, Barak to Yahushai, Barak to Yahweh, Barak to Yahushai. All praises to Mashiach Yahushai, Bashim Kadash. Right? Double honors and salutations to the elders and apostles of Grimstone Rule Well, and the Akim preaching the word of Mashiach Yahushai. Tried the falcons of the earth in sincerity and truth. This is Bram Nasher DC Camp with a short lesson to edify the hopeful elect. So you can see on the screen, the issue of hunger is not a joke. All right, and this just the so-called reported stats when it comes to food insecurity. All right, and this is the reason why a lot of families, go hungry on a daily basis. All right, when that dollar bill can't, can't be stretched to get provisions for the home, to keep the family healthy, it becomes a problem. And that's the direction Babylon is heading towards, all right? So Babylon's already, experiencing it right now, all right? And that's that's the curse of the Lord upon America, You can't claim to be the topmost economy in the world, and the citizens that you claim to be, be overseen, experiencing poverty and food insecurity and all types of unnecessary havoc. All right, and it just proves that Esau doesn't really have his stuff together, because he's just concerned about his own little block. He's not really concerned about the well-being of others. All right, so this is exactly what you're gonna see when you don't have proper rulership upon the face of the earth. It's going to be, total anarchy. All right, stress, stressful, you know, daily events. Right, and that's the reason why Hamashiach Yahushai has to come back and deliver our nation, the nation of Israel, comprising of the so-called Negroes, so-called Latinos, and so-called Native Americans, from this monstrosity. All right, so that's the reason why we need to get our minds right, because it's not a joke. When you play around with your food, and the most important food, which is the Holy Scriptures. All right, so I'm going to read what Yahushua said. All right, concerning doing the work. Alright, so this is from the book of John chapter 4 verse 34. Alright, let me start from alright, John chapter 4 verse 30. I'm going to read all the way down to 34. Alright, so it says, then they went out of the city and came unto him. In the meanwhile, his disciples prayed him, saying, Master, eat. But he said unto them, I have meat to eat that ye know not of. Therefore said the disciples one to another, had any man brought him aught to eat? Yahushua said unto them, my meat is to do the will of him that sent me and to finish his work. And that's the mindset you need to have, all right? When you're in that mindset that Yahushua made known to his disciples, food insecurity in Babylon does not really faze you that much, because you're serving a higher power that's always going to look out for your necessities, all right? So always keep that in mind. But when you start to focus more on what Babylon is experiencing, and you're not focusing on what the Lord has to offer, all of a sudden you start to worry. You start to, be stressed out and all that, unnecessary burdens, it becomes to weigh heavy on your mind. That's why the prophet talks about casting off the burdens of this world. Cast away from you mortal thoughts. All right. So I'm just gonna read this real quick, man, from the book of Ezekiel, man. Just gonna get straight to the point because it's terrible news when you hear about the word, famine, insecurity, homelessness. It just shows that the land is cursed, all right? And what do you expect is gonna happen? So I'm gonna read Ezekiel chapter 7 and verse 15. It tells you what's gonna happen when you have all that, unemployment and everything else. It says the sword is without and the pestilence and the famine within. He that is in the field shall die with a sword, and he that is in the city, famine and pestilence shall devour him. All right. So that's what happens when a country is experiencing a famine. Instability, inequality, and all that. That's the direction. That's the end result: violence and famine and pestilence. All right. So that's America for you. That's a picture, that America is going to be a part of. Okay. And that's one thing you have to understand, man. That's one thing you have to understand. Verse 16 says, but they that shall escape of them shall escape, and shall be on the mountains like doves in the valleys, all of them mourning, everyone for his iniquity. So our people going to catch a lot of hell, man, when they're wandering from city to city, from state to state, from border to border, because of they chose not to hold on to the words of the Lord, Hamashiach Yahushai. All right. Verse 17 says, all hands shall be feeble, and all knees shall be weak as water. So we're going to get tested, but elect would make it true. We're going to make it true. When all hell's breaking loose, you're going to see how the Lord is going to reveal opportunities for brothers to survive. Just like, Jonah was taken care of, Daniel was taken care of, King David was taken care of, so, and the disciples were taken care of. So you shouldn't worry yourself too much. All right. So, book of Sirach chapter 39, verse 22. It tells you what's necessary. Let me see, 36. It's like 39, verse 26. All right. It says, the principal things for the whole use of man's life are water, fire, iron, and salt, flour of wheat, honey, milk, and the blood of the grape, and oil and clothing. All right. So those are necessities to have life on the earth, for people to live on the earth. They need to access to food, shelter, clothing, and the minerals, But when there's no access, when they can't access this no more, the supply is limited, it becomes a strain. Malnourishment becomes more evident. Tempers and the tensions just running high over the place. Total breakdown of society. All right. So it's really necessary that with the word of Hamashiach Yahushai, that you really put things in perspective and know what's taking place on the earth. All that of you see videos of feed the children, you see what's going on over there in the Middle East, in Yemen, hunger, starvation, and you hear about hunger in Africa and all that. It's real. People die of malnutrition. People die in the famine. Children's belly bloated. The mother barely has enough nutrients in her body to perform daily chores of taking care of her children. The father, is basically shriveling. He's losing, body mass. The flesh is just consuming away because the body's eating itself up, So that's terrible, that's terrible. All right. So, precept is going to be from the book of Baruch, chapter 2. I'm going to read verses 1 to 3. It says, "Therefore the Lord hath made good his word, which he pronounced against us, and against our judges that judged Israel, and against our kings, and against our princes, and against the men of Israel and Judah, to bring upon us great plagues, such as never happened under the whole heaven, as it came to pass in Jerusalem, according to the things that were written in the law of Moses." So we've been through this before, so we should think about, what happened. Why did they come upon us? Well, because we sinned, and it's going to come back again, So now, only the elect will be able to make it out of it, man. 2/3 have no opportunity to get out of this famine and plagues that's coming upon the earth, man. The violence, they're not going to escape. All right, it's only the elect, 1/3, that are going to be able to make it wherever they are. All right, and that's how serious the Lord is when He's bringing this plague. So it's basically a sifting process. It's a sieve. Right? Verse 3 says that a man should eat the flesh of his own son and the flesh of his own daughter. Yeah, so that's going to be a sad thing. Folks are complaining, oh, the Rothschilds are eating people, they eat babies and all that. But hey, a lot of people are going to be joining them soon, in these last days. When there is no food to eat, folks will be looking at other people like a delicacy, like a buffet. When they're done eating the rats and the chickens and the birds and the dogs and the cats, people are next, and then nothing left in the zoo to eat, just like it happened in Venezuela. It's gonna be serious, man. People be breaking into psych wards, to kidnap people to eat. It's gonna be crazy, man. Looking for people to kidnap, setting up traps. Yeah, so that's how messed up it's going to be here in Babylon, So you just got to pray that the Messiah does not appoint you to that type of judgment. That's a terrible way, to be, to be judged, to be cannibalized on, all right? So you have to pray that the Lord doesn't put you, in that category, to fall a victim and to be the perpetrator of it. You can't, you can't, have that to be a judgment, all right? And you don't want to get distracted, of all the folks that are having good in this lifetime, all right? You don't want to have that spirit of envy, and that's the reason why I got to get this precept from Proverbs chapter 23 verse 17. It says, "Let not thine heart envy sinners, but be thou in the fear of the Lord Yahweh Shema Shabbat Shema Kwakadash all the day long." All right, just like you see all these folks in the world making it, having all that stash of cash, making big deals, living large. End of the day, the Lord is going to yank all that away from them, and you will see how unprepared they were. All right. So verse 18 says, "For surely there is an end, and thy expectation shall not be cut off." So by you not having everything that you want or everything that you really need, you just have to take it with a grain of salt that the Lord is preparing you, He's building you up, for something greater. So you have to know what it's like to be at the bottom and to manage what you have. And when the opportunity comes for you to have more, then you can know how to spread it accordingly. That's what it takes to be a man. How to manage your household with limited resources, all right, and to maintain your integrity, all right. And that's what Esau is going to use against a lot of people in these last days. He's going to put their integrity to the test when he introduces that microchip, because a lot of people are going to get chipped just because they want to eat, just because they want to be able to trade whatever resources they have for food and for shelter and for medication and all that stuff. All right. So Proverbs chapter 30 verse 8 says, "Remove far from me." Let me start from verse 7. Proverbs chapter 30 verse 7. "Two things have I required of thee, deny me them not." All right. Proverbs chapter 30 verse 7. "Two things have I required of thee, deny me them not before I die. Remove far from me vanity and lies." Right. So you want the straight skin, you want the whole truth and nothing but the truth. You don't want to deal with the doctrines of falsehood. All right. "Give me neither poverty nor riches. Feed me with food convenient for me." So the Lord has to give you what's necessary, and that's exactly what you need to be concerned about. That the Lord gives you the proper doctrine and is able to feed you. That's about it. Shelter, it's easy to find shelter. You just have to, build something. All right. But food, that's a tough one. All right. So that's where the Lord has to step in. Okay. And then verse 9 says, "Lest I be fool and deny thee, and say, Who is the Lord Yahweh Shema Kakadash? Or lest I be poor and steal and take the name of my power in vain." All right. So all that work that you've put in, you don't want to be able to just fold in the last days, man. It's like, oh man, that's the man. That guy used to preach the gospel on the street. Look at him, man, breaking into that store, robbing people, taking the taking their food, taking Pampers from people, man, taking baby food from people, and all that stuff. You see how it blew away that store owner? You don't want to be in that mindset of just becoming a miscreant in society when all hell breaks loose. You have to maintain your young guy about emotional content. You can be angry, you can be upset, but you gotta have focus, you gotta have purpose. You can't just deviate from the plan that the Lord has set before you. All right. So you have to stick, with the program, right? You don't want to put yourself in the wrong position, man. Then the Lord has to judge you for your wicked deeds. So you have to make sure you stand firm unto the end, because it's going to be hard, when you see children crying and all that. You're desperate, and then the best thing you can do is just let the Lord take care of it for you. Just pray and hope that the Lord guides you through it. Okay. And another precept, before I head out to camp. So this is going to be from the book of Sirach, book of Psalms. All right, book of Psalms, chapter 37, verse 25. "I have been young, and now am old, yet have I not seen the righteous forsaken, nor his seed begging bread." All right, it's that simple. I read it one more time. Psalms chapter 37, verse 25. "I have been young, and now am old, yet have I not seen the righteous forsaken, nor his seed begging bread." All right. So the household of the elect will be taken care of. All right. And that's one thing the Lord is always about. That's one thing the Lord is always about. He's always going to take care of his elect. And our people shouldn't be concerned about what this world, puts before them, because the world is going to try to entice you, to go against the word of the Lord Hamashiach Yahushai. All right. And this is the book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 3, verse 9. It says, "They that put their trust in him shall understand the truth." All right. Which is the Holy Scriptures, the words of the prophecies, the law, statutes, and commandments. And such as be faithful in love shall abide with him. So no matter what happens, you know that you're gonna stick with the Lord. Mashiach Yahushai. Alright? For grace and mercy is to his saints. Alright? And he had care for his elect. Alright? So that's the point that I can, don't let all this news about food insecurity weigh heavy on your mind. It's just part of the sifting process. And the Lord will always prepare you to to have the necessary resources, all right, to take care of your family, all right, because the Lord is not going to neglect you in these last days. So that's the point there, Kim. Hope you've been edified. Take no thought about the cares of this world, and let the Lord, be your buckler and be your shield and be your provider. Shalom.